Okay, hope everyone is doing well. This has been the one you've all been waiting for in the trilogy of In the Life of. We have covered the average life of a Chad, the life of an average guy, and now we are going to cover the average life experience of a sub 5 man, or as you can see by the title, the, the little photo thing there, an ugly man. Wasn't sure whether to go with ugly or it's over or what, but I thought I'll just go with ugly. I tried to get a sub 5 one, but didn't. Couldn't find anything. And I've yet to learn how to make my own thumbnails. But that's what you're getting stuck with, ugly. And I was a bit funny about putting the word ugly up because it actually is a harsh word, or at least I think so anyway. But my channel's all about the BP and about the harsh realities of life, especially interacting with women. And that's what women see you as. If you're a sub 5, you are seen as an ugly man. Now, I'm sure most, if not all, my listeners know what a sub 5 man is, but in case you don't, let's define that before we get started. Let's define sub 5. So, according to women, a man is sub 5, subpar, ugly, unattractive, if he has these main defects, or what they call defects. So, if a guy is excessively short, which I would say around about, if he's shorter than 5'8", the guy's going to be considered short and therefore unappealing, unattractive, even though the guy might be, reasonable in the face. If he's only average looking in the face, then he's up shit creek without a paddle. But if he's a Chad, they call these guys Chadlets. Like short guys with good looking faces are called Chadlets. Now these guys can still do very well with the ladies. But when a lady dates a guy that's 5'6", 5'8", it's not really impressive when she goes to a brunch and tells her girlfriends a new man that she's met. It's more impressive if she can say, "Oh, I met this guy and he's 6'4". Oh, and all the other women go, "Oh, unbelievable, you lucky thing, 6'4". When they ask her what the guy's like and he's only 5'6", and she goes, "Oh yeah, he's not bad looking, he's 5'6". They go, "Oh, okay." I'm sure he's got other things though. That's other traits. So a lot of that stuff is really just impressing their female friends. And I know from my life experience too, I've had within a group of women, I've had one of them take a little bit of an interest in me in my teen years, and because the rest of them didn't like me, I was fucked basically. That was it. There was no comeback. There's no way a woman is going to risk her social status and for the fear of social disapproval to go against the grain and go out with you if you're not attractive to her friends either. I know it's another harsh, stupid, pathetic BP, but it is a BP that we have to be considerate of. So we got short. If a man is short, he is considered to be sub 5. The next one, if a man is fat, obese, morbidly obese. If you've fat, if you've got no discernible jawline, if you can't see your cheekbones or jawline, you're classed as fat, especially by women. And if you don't have a jawline or good cheekbones, you're a sub 5. They don't want nothing to do with you. And once again, this is something that I know quite personally, because most of my life I've been slightly to moderately overweight. Yes, I've been in shape too, not athletically lean, so where I've got a chiseled jaw or anything, but I've been, fairly lean and, fairly like in good nick is the best way to say it. In decent nick is what us Aussies say. Not looking half bad. And yeah, I was definitely getting a lot more interest when I was leaner, but yeah, not much else to say on that. If you're fat, you're a sub 5. Another big one is balding. Now, as a guy, you wouldn't think it's much of a big deal going bald. I mean, it doesn't stop. It's not like losing your arm or losing your foot or anything. It doesn't stop you from being a man. Doesn't stop you from working. Doesn't stop you from fighting. As a matter of fact, most of the best UFC fighters and boxers are bald. So it is a sign of high testosterone, but the wvomen don't see it that way. It's the bottom line is if you're balding or bald, you're a sub 5 man. Yes, you can get away with it if you've got a Chad face. If you've got a real good 7 or 8 out of 10 Chad face, yes, you can be a handsome bald man. But I'm not going to talk about the exceptions. But if you're bald, especially if you're like me, and you started balding around about the age of 18 or 19, it's over. It's over at least for the next 5 or 6 years, because especially younger women do not want a bald man. So they're the 3 big ones that can make you a sub 5, and God forbid if you've got any more than one of them. So if you've got 2, if you're short and bald, or fat and bald, or fat and short, whatever it is, good luck to you. You're going to have a real hard time. There are other things that aren't as big of a deal because you can do more about them, like ethnic cells and things like that. But so that's basically what a sub 5 is. As I said, I'm sure you all know what a sub 5 is. And these days it goes all the way up to average looking guys. Average looking guys just don't cut the mustard anymore. Yes, you're still in with a chance. Look, even sub 5 guys are still in with a chance. But they're basically lottery ticket odds, and you shouldn't bank on it. You shouldn't live your life around them minuscule odds. You've got to come to acceptance. So, all right. Now I'll start with just a little bit of a list here that I've made about just a general life and what and some of the things that a sub 5 guy is going to go through. And then once again, like the other 2 videos I've made in this series, I'll do like a bit of a chronological order of what an average sub 5 guy's life might be like. And I do have a couple of people in mind for this. I did go to school with some guys that were, unfortunately for them, true cells. And to this day, I believe they are still true cells. Whether they've paid for play, I don't know, but they've definitely got no interest from women. And these guys have got bug eyes, really recessed jaws, real features of the stereotypical sub 5 guy. So, okay, so we talked about in the Chad video that Chad has this phenomenon called the halo effect, which basically states that no matter what he does, he's always going to be seen in a good or better light, solely because he's a good-looking guy. He can commit crime and get less punishment from the judge. He can interact with a woman and he's allowed more strikes before he's out. people are just going to automatically assume he's a good person because he's good looking. He could be a sociopathic killer. Doesn't matter. The halo effect dictates that that's what's going to happen. He's going to make friends easier. He's going to get paid more at work. He's going to find work easier, etc., etc. Now, the inverse is true for sub 5s. The opposite is true. And instead of the halo, we call it the phalo effect or the horn effect. So you're either going to call it the halo, you're going to call it the phalo effect or the horn effect if you're referring to a sub 5 guy. So the opposite's true for him. People are going to look at a sub 5 guy and just automatically assume that he's going to be, cruel, nasty, that he's going to be a bit of a prick. He's going to lie. He's going to be deceitful. Things like that. He's not really going to get given the benefit of the doubt. So he's going to go through his whole life with that phalo effect. It's going to be harder for him to make friends, harder for him to get work, etc., etc., etc. And socially with friends and women, he's going to have less strikes to use up. So he's going to, do things like poison the well, things like that. He's going to offend people for the mere crime of just being an unattractive man. If the ugly guy commits a crime, he's going to get even more time. I mean, look what happened with like Manson and Ted Bundy and all that shit. Because that Ted Bundy was a Chad guy, he had women breaking down and crying, asking him to be released. I mean, committed sick and vile crimes, but if an ugly bloke done it, you wouldn't be seeing them crying on the courtroom steps, asking to be released. That's basically the halo horn effect there, where you can take things and just amplify them. For Chad, the good things get amplified. For the sub 5, the bad things get amplified. And the sub 5 too, when he's even as early as kindergarten to and this will start in primary school, he's seen to get picked on a lot too. And more importantly, he's seen to get picked on for his facial features. As I said, if you've got a big head, bug eyes, a receded, retracted jawline, just a funny shaped head, whatever it is, if you're born a true cell, rest assured you're going to know about it early because you're going to get picked on a lot at school about it. And that's going to, of course, follow on to high school and then work. You're going to, if you're fat, you'll be called fatty, bald, you'll be called baldy, and so on and so forth. And this one kind of runs into that last topic that I commented on. Your flaws are going to get pointed out to you a lot. A lot of, more so in, I guess, not going to be in a clinical fact where someone's going to say, you've got a shit lower third, or your ramus is short, your philtrum lip ratio is too long. But you're going to get, people pick on you and tease you for your flaws. So you're kind of going to know what's wrong with you. You might occasionally get a harsh rejection by a lady that's going to, tell you exactly what's wrong with you. More so online, you're going to get that kind of stuff. Now, the average sub 5 guy too is going to have the mindset of the blue pill. I guess I can say that. I guess the blue tablet. He's going to be the blue. He's going to have a blue pill mindset, which is, I'm not getting any luck right now, but I've just got to be patient. Love comes to those who wait. The more I look, the more they're going to run away. If I, they're going to be told a little bit of that stuff too, but they're basically going to be of a blue pill mindset that it's personality that matters, and that girl of their dreams is just around the corner. But if they just present themselves the right way and be nice and buy her things and get her flowers and do all these, what we call Disney thinking things too, that you know they think that their lady is actually still waiting for them. So where some guys actually need to be what they call better off blue because they can't actually handle the harsh realities of the BP. So I still think it is better for guys to know this, but guys have to actually accept, life as a sub 5 guy, and then move on and find your copes and all that kind of stuff too. Yeah, so the average blue guy has got the blue pill thinking, and aka Disney thinking. It's what's inside that counts, that he doesn't have to better himself, his looks don't matter, he just has to be intelligent and charming and be himself and all that stuff. And and he probably recites all the blue sayings, which is like love comes, like good things come to those who wait, and you know the more I look, the more it's going to, run away from me. And, you're a late bloomer and all this kind of stuff, and you've just had bad luck, all that kind of shit. So, this is why the sub 5 blue guy the average sub 5 guy he needs the BP. He needs to be BP so he can get on with his life and start getting fulfillment in his life. He can't be one of these guys that are just searching, being online dating, going out to pubs, clubs, and bars into his 20s and 30s and still getting absolutely no results and just thinking it's bad luck and bad time. And he needs to be he needs to be told that one, it's not his fault just getting bad success. It's it's his looks. And two, to accept it and move on. To either looks max and see how you go, or if he's already looks max, if the guy's already in decent shape and you still can't do any good, well, guess what, mate? It's just time to accept it and move on. So he needs to do this so he's not, you know, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Now, this is one that's a personal one that I've went through too, and most, like average looking to sub 5 guys go through as well, and that is you get lied to by your parents, more so especially your mother, about your potential luck with the ladies. So, I mean, if you're like me, at some stage you're gonna be struggling with the ladies, and you think, hang on a minute, mum's a woman, she must know what they're like, what they're looking for, what they want. So, you go in your teenage years and get some advice. And if you're an ugly guy, or average uglier guy like me, you're gonna get the old, oh, look, you're a late bloomer, don't worry about girls now. You'll get them when you're older. They'll do everything but say, oh, look, son, unfortunately, you were born with not an attractive face to women. I like you. I think you're beautiful. I love you and all that. But unfortunately, most of the women out there aren't going to like you. So you're going to have to find other ways to find happiness in life. They don't say that. Instead, they'll say things like that. Oh, they'll kind of do the whole Disney blue pill thing to you, and which is actually harsher than I think than telling the truth. They'll just say, "Oh, look, your time will come. Just wait. Don't be in a hurry to do it. Just worry about work and whatever it is. Just worry about having fun, and with your friends and all that stuff, and they'll just tell you whatever you need to hear to just pacify you, basically. Oh, and a few other things here. What do we got? Yeah, like I mentioned before about getting picked on, you're going to get picked on in school a lot. He's also going to be the butt of jokes at work. He's going to be, get called short, bald, fat, ugly, in more so of a like shit stirring, busting your chops way, not as in harsh teasing like it was. But you're going to be putting up with a bit of that stuff when you go out in the public. Um, it's going to be harder for you to get work once again because of the halo effect, unless of course you're really talented in a certain field. But if it's any kind of work that's related to working with the public, having your face on display, people are going to either consciously or subconsciously judge you, and you won't get the job. You're also going to get, shock horror. You're going to get no interest from girls in school, and that's one of the first things that lets you know that you're a sub 5 guy, when you get no interest. In like the later years of primary school and secondary school. And not only do you get no interest from girls, you might even get teased from them a little bit. Not just teased from the guys, but you'll get teased from the girls, especially if you go and try to interact with them or approach them and pick them up. So that's a really strong indicator that you're a sub 5 guy. Also, another thing you have to watch out as a sub 5 guy is a thing called poisoning the well, where if you're in a regular social group, or it could be a school, could be a sporting group, it could be anything, and you ask out one lady there, and she finds you unattractive, you get rejected. Guess what? All the other girls are going to somehow know about this, because women talk and women are just going to see you go up and see you fail. And as a sub 5 guy, that's all your options in that immediate social circle fucked. Trust me, I've been there myself. You get rejected by one woman in any kind of group or gathering, you get rejected by all of them. Even if one of them does slightly like you a little bit, they will not risk any kind of social calamities that can be related to actually interacting with you. So be careful of that one. And unfortunately too, a lot of sub 5 guys fall for PUA, pickup artists. They fall for all that bullshit, and they fall for dating roaches, buy online courses, and give away sometimes thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to these scammers that do absolutely nothing for them. So that's another reason why I think a lot of, like, as harsh as it is, like, there should be like probably a year 7 or year 8, when you're about 13, 14 years old, there should be at least once a year, there should be like a BP guy that comes along and has a BP course for guys. Also, tells chads and average guys different things too, and you know a BP guy should probably go and separate the class into 3 categories: chads, average, and sub 5s, and then address them equally, and then just say, look, what I've told you here's a brutal truth. You don't have to like it, don't have to believe it, but here's some pamphlets and stuff to take home. And if you're finding you're struggling with the opposite sex, this is why. These are some things you can do about it. These are some things you can't, and etc., etc. But yeah, these sub 5 guys can really easily fall prey to the false hope that these PUA guys can sell them. So that's one thing they've got to watch out for. Another thing you're going to get if you're a sub 5 guy is you're going to get looks of disgust when you approach a woman, even for just something as innocent as asking the time if a lady sees you walking over and you're not an attractive guy, even average guys, low tier normie average guys get this stuff too. You're going to get looks of disgust when you approach them just to talk to them in general. They really don't want anything to do with you, so you better if you're a sub-5 guy, you better get used to just kind of feeling like you're a burden to the woman when you're talking to them. Once again, not every lady's going to treat you this way, but there are a lot out there that will treat you this way too. So just be careful of that, and just kind of know that it's not your fault. You just were born a sub-5 guy. But especially when you try to like pick them up, especially if you were silly enough to learn any of that PUA shit, and you walk up to a good-looking girl or whatever and try to run game, as they call it, you're going to get a lot of looks of disgust, and it's not going to work out well for you. And you're also going to get absolutely no matches online except for bots and scammers and things like that. If you're a sub-5 male and you happen to make the poor decision of downloading some dating apps, the average experience for this guy is going to be basically even swiping on his looks match, and women that are 1s and 2s out of 10 and getting not even one match. And the matches that you do get are clearly scammers looking for money, or just bots on the site, just so guys actually think that they're doing okay on the site. And you can always tell the bots and things like that, because all of a sudden you'll be swiping, and then all of a sudden this 8 out of 10 Stacey will like you back. And whether it's a bot or a scammer, just know that it's not happening. It's just not happening, mate. And yeah, these 7s and 8s and Stacey's will quite often, more than not only match with you but talk to you first. And yeah, we all know that it doesn't work that way. So be careful of that stuff online. My advice is, if you're a sub-5 guy, don't even bother with online dating. It's a complete waste of your time. What's this other one? Gets rejected every time. You've pretty much just covered that. Whether you're in person or online, whenever you approach a woman, you're basically going to get rejected every time, unless of course you're getting choosing signals, which is, pardon me, which is going to be extremely rare if you're a sub-5 man. But if you've watched any of my other videos, you also remember that I do say don't approach any woman unless you're getting a choosing signal. Otherwise it's going to end badly, because you can't create attraction, you can't show your personality, show how great of a guy you are, or push all the right emotional buttons, and all of a sudden, Shazam, you've got a Shazammed, stunning girl, kneeling at your feet, ready to do anything you tell her to. It just doesn't work. And of course, the sub-5 guy in general lives a pretty lonely life. Especially like you can still have friends and things like that, but he's going to be touch starved and like emotionally starved from the affections of a lady. Being touch starved, you can fix that by paying for play, but having that emotional connection, that's something that unfortunately can only be genuine. But yes, you can learn to live without it. After a while, you just don't really think about it anymore. And this is, of course, when you've got to deploy your copes to try to, just make life as comfortable and as easy as you can. Alright, I'm coming to the end of this little thing here. Now, speaking about friends, it can be hard, or at least harder, for a sub-5 guy to make a friend. And once again, it's got nothing to do with anything else but his looks. People in general just don't want to be around ugly people. It's just something that's hardwired into our brain. Doesn't mean you're never going to have friends, and you could be a great guy and still make friends, but just know that it is going to be a little bit harder. It's going to be harder for you to fit in at social events and and social functions. And another thing that's going to happen is you are going to feel alienated a lot when there's a social group, especially if there's like attractive women and other attractive guys in there. If you go to try to join in the conversation, you might. This is more so when you're younger. When you're older, it's probably a bit different. But when you're in your 20s, and you try to be social in the pubs and clubs and things, you're going to find that you don't really fit in. And this feeling alienated thing, especially if you're getting teased and picked on at school quite a lot, it's going to lead to things like mental health problems, rejection, PTSD, self-esteem issues. You're going to be prone to things like depression, panic disorder, anxiety, things like that. You're just going to be more prone to that. Doesn't mean you're going to get it. You're just going to be more prone to that kind of stuff. So that's it, I think, for my little list I've got here. Now, just to keep in frame with the other videos, I'll just tell a little bit of a story about. I'm gonna use, like, I'm not gonna do one person in particular, but the few people that I did know that were true cells. So this is going to be a true cell, 3 out of 10 guy that I'm going to talk about here. It's going to be a mixture of a couple of people I grew up with, not just one specific person. All right, let me close this thing down. All right, let's start from the beginning. All right, let's start right at the beginning. Fuck it, we've got conception. Conception, all right. So you're a sub-5 guy. Your mum and dad conceived. Little did they know they were going to have a sub-5 guy. So on the fateful day you were born, you were born. Now, some of this is just going to be a little bit of anecdotal. Some of it's going to be, I mean, this part here is going to be a little bit of storytelling because I don't really know exactly the truth. But let's just go worst case scenario. Okay, you got this true cell. The baby's born. Baby's born a little bit smaller than size. He's a real ugly baby. Too, like. No, he's got that is one of them ugly, hairy sub-3 babies. The poor thing. So immediately immediately in life they're gonna have the sub-5 treatment. All the nurses and doctors are gonna lie, oh, beautiful healthy baby, oh, baby boy, beautiful baby boy. If it's an ugly baby girl, doesn't matter at all. But you're gonna get lied to. Okay, and this sub-5 guy's short. So okay, you're being lied to, and your parents are also noticing, you're starting to grow 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, that you're actually not getting that much taller compared to the other kids your age. You're significantly shorter, you know maybe still a little bit uglier, but who knows, kids can bloom and whatever. But either way, that you're just that little bit shorter. You might have an unusually large head for your size or something. You're a bit shorter, but your parents aren't all that concerned, because kids always grow into their bodies and their true selves later on. Then you start kinder at about 5 years old, and already some of your sub-5 features are coming to light. You've got that retracted jaw, so your bottom jaw, you've got an overbite, your bottom jaw doesn't really quite reach, parallel with your cheekbones and things like that. So you've got that. You've got bug eyes. You've got a bad jaw. Big forehead. Head still a bit big, and you're still like a good few inches shorter than all the other boys. So that's when you're going to start to get picked on. You're not going to get picked first for any teams if there's going to be a little game of soccer or anything like that. You might even notice too that the kindergarten teachers are maybe treating you a little bit unfairly when there's a bit of a scuffle or a fight or an argument. You're the one that gets in trouble and you haven't even done anything wrong. So let's fast forward a little bit. You're in primary school now. Much of the same's happened. You're in primary school. You're in grade 3 or 4. You're about 8, 10 years old now. And once again, you're still, that, 5 or 6 inches shorter than the other kids. You're getting picked on because of that. You're getting, short stack, you're getting stumpy, you're getting all the nicknames. Your eyes are bug-eyed. You might be getting called frog or fly or something like that. 4 eyes. You might need glasses. You might not be gifted with the best sight, so you've got glasses, that retracted jaw, the big forehead, and you're getting picked on for all the little things because kids aren't blind. They'll notice every little flaw that you've got and meticulously pick on them individually. And even though you might be quite reasonable at sports, you're still not going to get picked. When we have to have a game of cricket or basketball, you might be actually quite skillful with a ball or something, but you're still not going to get picked because of your looks and your build and your frame and your height. You're still not going to get picked. You're going to be alienated. Okay, so let's go to year 5, 6. Okay, you're about 11 years old now. 11, 12 years old. Puberty's kicking in. Puberty's kicking in, and this sub-5 guy's thinking, finally, puberty, maybe I might grow. Maybe I might become this 6'4", Chad athlete. Little does he know that's not going to happen for him, but he's still hopeful. All right, so you're about 12, puberty's kicking in, and all of a sudden you decide, wow, I like girls. Well, guess what, Mr. Sub-5, they don't like you. Okay, so Mr. Sub-5 sees a girl he likes, he's another 12-odd-year-old girl. Of course, he's not interested in any kind of bedroom fun. He's just young. He just likes the idea of having maybe a girlfriend he can, you know, just talk to, maybe hold hands, a peck on the cheek if he's lucky, study together, all that wholesome stuff. So he eyes off a girl. Over the next few weeks, he plucks up the courage to go and ask her out. Of course, he does. He does this, because he's been told by Disney and all this stuff, maybe even by his parents or some other guys. Oh, if you like a girl, you just go up and ask her out. What's the worst that could happen? You've seen all the Disney cartoons where the average sub-5 down on his luck guy approaches a lady and it all just works. Approaches a princess and one thing leads to another, and by the end of the show, they're married and happily ever after. So he goes and asks her out. Confidently asks her out, thinking, oh yeah, this is all you have to do. And guess what happens? Complete and utter brutal rejection. Not only is this guy told no, but he's picked on, laughed at, humiliated. And by the end of recess, when he asks her out, guess what? The whole school knows, and now he's poisoned the well. He's going to get teased and picked on for that, for the rest of his time at school. But Mr. Sub-5, just he hasn't been BP'd yet, so he just thinks, who knows, now it felt bad and it hurt for a little bit, but I'm over it now. I guess she just wasn't the one for me. That's okay. You just pick yourself up by your straps, buddy, and ask the next one out. So 12 rolls on, 14, 15. The guy's in year 7, year 8. He's in high school now. And to his surprise, he's been through puberty for a few years, but he's still only about 5'4" tall. And the rest of the kids, 14, 15-year-olds around him are like, 5'8", 5'10", some are even 6 foot. And he's still waiting for his growth spurt to happen. And because, puberty's kicked in, his facial structure is changing, but not changing for the better. His retracted jaw's just getting worse and worse. Cheekbones aren't developing, forehead's getting bigger. He's just already got a bit, not losing his hair, not yet anyway, but he's already got a bit of a weird hairline. Just overall an asymmetrical, just bad facial thirds, just unattractive face. So he's at high school. He's noticing that the teachers are a little bit more harsh on him when he hands back assignments. He's noticing that people are still picking on him. People don't really have time for him. It's hard for him to make friends. He's got a couple of friends, but they're just other, sub 5 cells like himself. Still getting picked on. He's still getting picked last for sporting teams. And of course, what is there? There's another, attractive woman that he thinks he can get. Okay, so we're in year 9 now. Let's just say year 7 and 8 and 9. Year 7 and 8, both of them years, he's just approached one woman and it's been an epic fail. The whole school's known about it and he gets laughed and picked on. So he tries it again year 9, another girl he likes, because of course it's not his looks, he's still not BP'd. So he thinks, oh, maybe this will be the one if I just be confident and be myself. So he's 15 years old. He's probably not going to grow any more height. Things are just going to get downhill from here. So he asks his high school crush out. What happens again? Brutal rejection. She tells everyone, all of her friends, they're laughing at him. He's humiliated. Even the other guys, the other chads, they're picking on him. He has got his group of friends that are saying, oh, it's all right, don't worry, there'll be another girl you'll like in a couple of months and it'll all be good. So this happens year after year until year 12 when he finishes his high school. So from year 7 to year 12, from about the ages like 13, 14 to 18, this has happened every year. He's asked out a different girl. He gets completely rejected, humiliated. Doesn't get no, hits his looks. So the guy's 18 now, and he's realised, oh shit, I'm not going to grow anymore. Like in them couple of years, he went from 5'4" to 5'6". He's still considered. He's still considered in Sean Connery. He's still considered a manlet as far as ladies are concerned. Okay, he's 18. And what's this? He gets on the internet, discovers this subculture called, PUA and alpha males, dating coaches. So they're now telling him, oh, look, it's something you said. It's you stood wrong. You didn't do this. You didn't press the right emotional buttons. You didn't hit the gym enough. It's not your looks. It's not your personality. You just didn't do these things in this order to trigger attraction. So that gives him a bit of false hope. So he buys all the courses. He gets really excited. He goes to the boot camps, and he sees these instructors that are apparently, a sub 5 that are doing well with women. But little does he know that that the instructor paid these women to be there, certain day, time, and place for him to look good and pretend that this scam and shit works. Right, so he's done his boot camp. He's paid all his money for his courses. He starts going out and applying this stuff. And unfortunately for our sub 5 friend, he's not getting any results. So he goes back to the forums, goes back to these PUA guys, and what do? They tell him it's his fault. Oh, you mustn't have been holding frame. You mustn't have been dominant enough. Must have been alpha enough. So he goes out again and again, month after month, year after year for a few years, getting absolutely no results, getting looks of disgust, disinterested, ladies giving them daggers, wishing he'd just dropped dead, wouldn't approach him, just wishing he'd disappear. He just went to the gym, he's got himself a six-pack, and, well, unfortunately, it's no gym for your face. The guy's still got a large forehead. Not only does he still have a bad hairline, but he actually notices that his hair is receding. He's about a Norwood 3. And his lower jaw hasn't got any better. And he gets nothing but rejection from women, and all that is starting to take a toll on this guy's, this poor guy's mental health. He's just got himself an average job as well, out of school, average job, but the guys at work can just constantly pick on him. He makes out it doesn't really affect him too much. It is, just a bit of banter, but secretly he just wishes they'd stop doing it. So at least this the red pill's gotten rid of his blue pill mindset, but poor guy here is going to go on to have a few, till about 27, 28. He's going to have more bad years of just not really fitting in, finding it hard to get work, finding out he's getting paid less than his other male colleagues that are better looking than him and taller than him, getting absolutely no interest from women, online or offline. And hey, let's give this story a good ending. And then this guy jumps on the internet, finds the BP part of the manosphere, and absorbs all the information. And a couple of months later, he's come to acceptance, and he's now living a happy and fulfilled life. So that's it for this vid. I'll pretty much leave it there. I've gave you a fair description of what the average life of an ugly guy is. It's not good. These days too, average is still considered ugly. Like, you don't have to be a 3 out of 10, you can be a 5 out of 10, still get fuck all results. Yes, you got more chance of that, like lottery ticket odds relationship happening. But let's not talk about that. We're talking about the true cells, true sub 5's here, that have tried looks maxing and all that stuff and just not getting anywhere. They've got zero luck with the ladies. They don't want to hear them, see them, touch them, smell them, nothing. They don't want nothing to do with you. Yeah, so this has been like the just a bit of a story, cautionary tale, a story of just a random life, just the life of a random sub 5 ugly guy. I hope you've gotten something out of it. If anything's resonated with you, leave comments, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Tell me your experiences. If you're a true cell, let me know if I've gotten something right, gotten something wrong. And I'm making this from the point of like a low tier normie, average guy. I don't claim to be a true cell. I have gotten, laid before. And like I've said before in a lot of my other videos, like 2012, pre-Tinder and that, I could actually do okay if I put in a lot of hard work and effort. I actually could do okay with, the odd one night stand and things. But after online dating, and especially after, I reckon 2018 was like the straw that broke the camel's back for average guys. After that, average guys are just fucked. Basically, it may as well be sub 6. If you're not high tier normie or above, good luck. But anyway, I'll end this video here and hope you have a great rest of the day, morning, day, evening, night, and look after yourselves. Thank you. See ya.